Ayah 40. Well, someone could say, well, this only means that it's very difficult. That doesn't mean that those who disbelieve in Allah and His Messenger, that means they've got a chance of coming out of the fire. I've dealt with this issue many times. It has been brought to my attention many times, and I believe a verse that ends all dialogue and debate about this. The clearest verse in the Quran, perhaps, about this subject is the following, which I'm about to quote. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, يُرِيدُونَ أَن يَخْرُجُوا مِنَ النَّارِ وَمَا هُمْ بِخَارِجِينَ مِنْهَا وَلَهُمْ عَذَابٌ مُقِيمٌ. They seek that they exit from the fire, and they will never exit from it. And they have a punishment that is muqim. Surah Al-Ma'idah, Ayah 37. This word muqim is translated by Ibn Abbas radiallahu anhu in his tafsir, as well as Mujahid, one of his greatest students. They translate this word muqim as da'im, which means always, constant, never ending. If we look at the construction, يُرِيدُونَ أَن يَخْرُجُوا مِنَ النَّارِ, they seek that they should exit from the fire. وَمَا هُمْ بِخَارِجِينَ مِنْهَا, and they will never exit from it. وَلَهُمْ عَذَابٌ مُقِيمٌ. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala emphasizes both twice. First He says they won't exit from it. They never will. Then He says that they have an eternal punishment. So those who died rejecting faith in Allah and His Messenger, we're not talking about believers, those who died rejecting faith in Allah and His Messenger, refusing to accept the plea and call of salvation, they are lost for eternity. The next thing that we can say is in regards to the Jannah, the paradise. That as well is also eternal. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has said, قُلْ أَذَلِكَ خَيْرٌ أَمْ جَنَّةُ الْخُلْدُ الَّتِي وُعِدَ الْمُتَّقُونَ. Say, is that best, or the eternal paradise promised to the righteous? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said very clearly about that the paradise, He calls it the Jannatul Khuld, the eternal paradise. There is no escaping from the fact that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala called the paradise eternal. There is no running from it. There is no escaping from it. It is a fact that cannot be escaped. Now Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says further in another ayah that is also beneficial. He says, جَزَاؤُهُمْ عِنْدَ رَبِّهِمْ جَنَّاتُ عَدْنٍ تَجْرِي مِنْ تَحْتِهَا الْأَنْهَارُ خَالِدِينَ فِيهَا أَبَدًا رَضِيَ اللَّهُ عَنْهُمْ وَرَضُوا عَنْهُ ذَلِكَ لِمَنْ خَشِيَ رَبَّهُ. Their reward in the sight of their Lord is the paradises of Aden, from which rivers flow. They will dwell therein forever. Surah Al-Bayyinah, Ayah 8. This proves decisively that according to the Muslim orthodoxy, the common as well as the elite, and most of all, according to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the paradise and the fire are eternal. There is no escaping that fact. Now someone again could say, how could a merciful God do this to His creation? But you should understand, there will be no wrongdoing towards the creation. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has duly noted everything. Every single thing is duly noted. He informs us of this fact by saying, وَوَجِدُوا مَا عَمِلُوا حَاضِرًا وَلَا يَظْلِمُ رَبُّكَ أَحَدًا. They will find all that they did placed before them, and your Lord will not treat one of them, any of them, with injustice. Surah Al-Kahf, Ayah 49. Everything will be duly noted, and Allah, glorified and exalted, will give people the consequences of their choices and the outcome of the decision that they made when they rejected Him. Let us think seriously and decisively about where we want to be for eternity. Do we want to serve Allah in this life and then be with Him in eternity, or serve our own desires and be filled with sorrow and regrets for eternity? The choice is ours, and may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala keep us guided with His mercy and His grace. In closing, I would just like to say that this day of resurrection, as I had mentioned in the beginning of the lecture, that we have many dates marked on our calendar. The day of resurrection is a date that should be marked on our calendar. If not on our physical written calendar, on the calendar of our heart and the calendar of our mind. Every single deed and action that we do, we should make it count. Our neighbors, our friends, our relatives, anyone who has not heard this life-giving message, or if they are a Muslim and they have backslidden in their faith, must be drawn into the folds of Islam. If we do not do so, the finger could be pointed at us on the day of resurrection. So we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that He bless us, He protect us, and He keep us safe. Walhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. As a last point, those of you that have questions, I will be here after the show for some 5 to 10 minutes. You may call 8411-800 or 8411-900. Again, that is 8411-800 or 8411-900. Those of you that are interested in the material that I've presented today can find something like that on the actual site of an organization known as HTS Publications. The actual address for that is htspub.com, htspub.com. Again, that address is htspub.com, and inshallah the information there will be beneficial to myself, to others, and to you, and with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is every single blessing. Walhamdulillah.